Most of us today in this room probably fall into three categories of people. First, those that already know what they want, they know their dreams. They may not be there yet, but they know exactly what they need to do to get there. The second, those that may not also be there yet, but they feel this is the life that I have. What more can I do? And the final category, those who are also not there yet. They know there's something more they can do, they just don't know what it is. They are willing to learn. We probably fall into these three categories. I know what to do. There is nothing I can do. You have given up. Or I'm willing to learn what I have to do. We could call it dreaming. We could say you're a dreamer, or we could say you're a go getter. Is there really any difference between being a dreamer and being a go getter? Probably. I like to think of myself as a go getter. And by that, I mean I have things I want to do, I have plans, and I'm actively pursuing it. And by virtue of being in this room, I like to think that everybody in this room is a go getter. When I was in school, I knew that I wanted to run a business. While preparing for service, a lot of my mates were thinking, what company do I want to work in? How do I craft my CV? I never wrote my CV for one day. I knew I wanted to start a business right out of school. I didn't know what business it was. I didn't know where I was going to get the funds for it, but I just knew I didn't want to go around looking for a job. And then I started to tell all of my friends when they asked, okay, so what's your plan after school? I'm like, oh, I'll start a business. And then some people are looking at me like, what's this one saying? But I just kept saying it. When they see me, some people hail me businesswoman. And because I had said it so often, people now knew, oh, Chidimma, she will soon start business after school. And the thing about proclaiming, you don't know where help is going to come from. You don't know who is going to be in a position, and they are speaking of something, and the person says, oh, this person, she's talked about this a couple of times. She'll probably be a good fit. A friend of mine stumbled on an article about You Win Empowerment Initiative by the Goodluck Jonathan administration. A lot of you may have heard of it. And the first thing that came to his mind was called Chidimma. You Win is an initiative where Goodluck's administration was empowering either existing or startup businesses with funds to start up a business. You had to do a business plan. And then my friend saw it and thought, Chidima said she wants to start a business. This would be a good fit for her. And I was the first person that he called to tell me about it. And then I started telling people, okay, I want to apply for You Win, or I'm already applying for You Win. Some people will encourage me and some people will laugh. Oh, you don't know anybody. This is Nigeria. You're just a 21-year-old. There will always be people around saying things into your ear. Possibly they don't believe in your dream, but it's fine. It's not theirs, it's yours. The only person who needs to believe is you. I applied for You Win. I got 6 million naira. I started up a business. At 22, 21, 22, I was the youngest You Win awardee then. I started up a fashion business. I was already making jewelry, so I added a fashion business to it. I employed about 3, 4 tailors. Eventually, I got up to 11 staff. From Ivory Coast, some Nigerian tailors, and some other people too who used to work part time. I ran the business successfully for about 3 years, and then one day I stepped into my store and looked around and asked myself, in 10 years' time, do you see yourself being the best fashion designer in Nigeria? My heart didn't smile. Somewhere along the line, that dream had changed. And it's okay to start something and realize that this is not what you want. It's very okay to change your mind. And that instant, when I walked into that store and realized that this is not what I wanted for myself, I knew that I had to make a change. I knew that I had to leave this. I did not know what I wanted at that point. The picture was not clear. And sometimes it's fine, the picture is not clear. But as you take a step towards it, the closer you walk to it, the more it becomes clearer. And a quote by Joe Austin captures this very succinctly. It says, sometimes the environment in which you find yourself, or sometimes the dream in your heart, may be bigger than the environment in which you find yourself. It's okay to live. People may get scared of living because sometimes you are so worried about what will people say. You know what? It's fine if people are talking. And while you're worried about what people will say, perhaps people aren't talking because they are too busy living their lives. But then, if they are talking, it's fine. Guess what? I'm entertainment for you. So perhaps I should add entertainer to my CV because I'm also an entertainer now. So I sold the business, still unsure of what I wanted to do, and decided I wanted to travel. I just wanted to travel around. At this point, I was saying I wanted to travel around. I didn't have the funds for it. I don't come from a very affluent family. And I told my sister, I think that how I'm going to travel the world is by applying for all expense paid travel opportunities for young people. There are a lot of opportunities for young people if only you look. I started sourcing on opportunitydesk.com almost every day. I told myself I was going to be applying for 2 to 3 opportunities every week and about 10 in a month. The first few applications I got were reject emails. When I got the rejections, I would call my sister. My store was just on Bethel Plaza on Upper Avenue, very close here. We'll come to the mall, get Coastal ice cream, get KFC burger, eat and drown our sorrows in food. After the first couple of applications, by my 16th application and in the second month, I got my first yes. Imagine if I had stopped at a couple of applications. Most times we have things that we want to do. We are so passionate about this. And then we take the first step and it's a rejection. So we pull back. Most people who have been successful tried over and over. You don't get you don't get it once. Even if you get it once, it's still a learning process. So what exactly does it mean to be a go-getter? There are 3 qualities that every go-getter must have. The first is you have to be ambitious. Because if you're comfortable where you are, you're not looking at a bigger picture, you're not seeing anything to aspire to, then there's really nothing to drive you. You have to be ambitious. And by ambition, I mean that you have to want more for yourself. Some people may say she's too ambitious, it's fine. Let them say what they have to say. Secondly, you have to be unafraid. And the art of being unafraid is my personal favorite that every go-getter must have. What exactly are we afraid of? We are scared of failure. But what is failure? What truly is failure? I don't like to think of it as failure, but rather, I've learned of a way that didn't work. And by learning how it didn't work, I'll probably try out other ways and it could work. Or maybe not. The great Thomas Edison, who is credited with inventing the light bulb, was said to have failed 999 times. 999 times he tried and he failed. We are scared of failure. The second, which is a very legitimate fear, we are scared of wasting resources, time, resources. This is very valid because in our environment, we know that resources are very limited. But then, if you never really try, if you never really start out, how would you know if it would be a success? And the final one, we are scared of what people will say. What exactly will people say? In the beginning, they will talk, but eventually, when the first success comes, the second success comes, you start seeing people who never looked at you twice, who never spoke to you. Oh, I know Chidimma, she went to my school. Oh, I know Chidimma, she was 4 sets above me. In fact, you start seeing people who were mean to you, trying to cling to you. Success begets friendships. We have to look past what people will say. We have to look past our fear. We have to look past all of these things that are stumbling blocks. Be ambitious, be unafraid, and eventually you will find success. 3 qualities of a go getter. How exactly do we now become go getters? I won't claim to know exactly what works, but these things have worked for me. First, setting goals. I like to set weekly goals, monthly goals, quarterly goals, and yearly goals. At the beginning of the year, people do New Year resolution. How many of you remember your New Year resolution in this room? We have all these grand plans, of things we are going to do in the year. But then we have time. Before you know it, the year is almost over. If you break down your goals quarterly, weekly, you're more accountable. Because at the end of the week, you realize this week has ended. What have I actually achieved? And beyond having those goals, actually write it down. Don't keep it in your head. Write it down. And if you have someone trustworthy that you can speak to, tell that person. Have an accountability partner. Let someone hold you accountable. This has really worked for me. Secondly, stop planning and start doing. Stop planning and start doing. Yes, failure to plan is planning to fail. We should all plan. But sometimes we get so carried away with planning that eventually there's no doing happening. I'll give an example of someone who wanted to write a book. She had been saying, I want to write a book, I want to write a book. And then eventually she said, in fact, I'm going to have this book ready in 3 months' time. 12 weeks. The first week, she spent it researching. What exactly should I write on? I know I want to write a book, but what exactly should I even write on? The second week, who should be my target audience? The third week, how should I even write? And then she started to research writing strategies and all. By the fourth week, when I write this book, where will I sell it? Started researching publishers she could reach out to. By the fifth week, she realized, oh, I can self-publish on Amazon. What is the process of self-publishing? Started researching to learn how to self-publish on Amazon, reach out to people who had self-published. By the sixth week, seventh week, marketing strategies, she was doing research to the 12th week. And by the end of 3 months, she hadn't written one word on paper. Not one word. So many of us, in different aspects of our life, spend so much time planning, that there is no time left for actually doing. You have to stop planning and start doing. Guess what? If you make a mistake, it's fine. You've learned, you go back and you do it again. Number three, failure as an asset. For each time I supposedly fail, I have learned what doesn't work. I don't like to think of it as failure, but as ways that I can become more innovative. And you actually learn more speaking to someone who has done something and failed than someone who has done something and succeeded at it at the first try. Because if we just try and succeed, there's a tendency to think it's going to be a smooth journey, it's a smooth sail. So when you're talking to them, they say, nothing there now. But if you speak to someone that has failed, they will let you know these are the lessons, these are the challenges. Because those challenges will come, maybe not in the beginning, but eventually they will come. Number four rather, your circle. It's popularly said that you're the average of the top 5 people you spend your time with. And I've seen this manifest in my life and in the lives of a lot of other people. The people that you surround yourself with influences so many things about you. The way you speak, the way you dress, the things you think, you know, even food you eat, the way different things about you. And guess what? If I did not have at that point in my life this person who told me about the you win in my circle, I probably would never have heard of it, or maybe I would have heard of it after the applications. I probably would never have applied, and I probably would not have lived out that dream. And today I'll be feeling unfulfilled, thinking, oh, this was my dream. But that person was in my circle. He told me about it. I lived the dream, and then I realized this is not the dream I want for myself. Your circle is very important, who you surround yourself with. And finally, fly and own it. People do all these things and eventually achieve success. And for some reason, we want to downplay our success. Why do you want to cast a shadow over yourself? Why do you want to hide your light, hide your shine? Because when you come out and talk about, how you've been successful at this, they say you're proud. Omo, be proud. It was not easy. If they say it was easy, they should go and do it. Own your success. And by owning it, I mean being confident, sharing. And the more you share, the more people see what you're capable of. If you have done so many successful things and you're the only one who knows, you probably miss out on a lot of other opportunities. And by sharing your success, you're inadvertently giving other people the opportunities to own theirs and to share it as well. I used to write a lot on Facebook. I would write about things that went well, things that didn't go well. And always people would come in my inbox to tell me how they resonated so much with that story and how seeing me doing this, they felt like they had the permission to also try. Own your success. Don't hide your shine. Don't hide your light. And most importantly, you need to get out of your comfort zone and challenge yourself. Like I just mentioned, I used to write a lot on Facebook. And one day someone said to me, Chidima, why do you always just write on Facebook? Perhaps consider writing articles, maybe even writing a book. I think you're a good writer. And then from that day, I started to refer to myself as a writer. So when people ask me, what do you do? I list the different things I do and then I add writer to it. And then one time I was in Accra, Ghana, and I was talking to a friend, who I had told I was a writer. I didn't have anything published. And then he saw a writing opportunity, Yongozi Institute, and told me about it. And I said to myself, Chidima, you can do this. So I applied for that. It was an essay on what you would do as an African leader, to change the face of businesses in Africa. I applied for that and I was shocked that I was called. I was called as a top 5 finalist in Africa, not in Nigeria, and invited on an all expense paid trip to Tanzania. I attended the Africa Leaders Forum. This was my first time putting pen to paper. Like all my writing had been on Facebook, but to me, I'm a writer. I had never written essays. Even in school, I was not a fan of writing essays. But I just felt, okay, she said I'm a good writer, so I'm a writer. There are probably things that you think you can do or you can do, but you're saying to yourself, oh, maybe I'm not good enough at it. You're second guessing yourself. Guess what? Other people that are doing it, they're probably not more qualified than you. The only thing they have more than you is confidence. Just confidence to try. And until you try, until you push and challenge yourself to come out of your comfort zone, you'll never know what you're truly capable of. Defeat is not true failure. True failure is actually not having tried. On that note, I'd like to ask everybody to please stand for like 30 seconds. Please. If you oblige me, just close your eyes and take a deep breath. When you take the deep breath, hold and count to 3 and release it. Let's repeat. Take a deep breath and release. You know what you just did? This is proof of life. Once you have breath in you, you have the ability to change your story. Let's all be go-getters. Thank you.